Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to FME Attention Undivided. This is the calm, cool, and calculated Dano. Host, owner, Freemusicempire? I don't think it's a thing to own. I think it's just a website. But if it was an asset, that's my asset. So I am here, and FME Attention Undivided is dedicated to talking to fascinating people. Whether it be Pulitzer Prize nominated poets or my guests today who have put out something like the best album of the year is something you can debate. It's something you can yell at your friends about and nobody knows what it is. But what can't be disputed is the loudest rap album of the year, which is Mighty Cannons.
Yeah.
Ace Cannons and Mighty Healthy.
Yes, sir.
I am so excited to talk about this album. MC Ace Cannons, producer Mighty Healthy. Welcome,
man. Happy to be
here. What's up?
It's been great, and it's been great watching people figure out who you guys are. Like some people knew Mighty Healthy previously because King Mighty 2 did some stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Ooh, this Ace Cannons," and which is what I was saying last year. But, and to put that out right on front, shout out and thank you to Jason Griff. I think Jason Griff was on here last year, and I was like, "What are you listening to?" And he's like, "Ace Cannons." Sincerely,
shout out to Jason, man.
And I was like, "Shit."
You got some stuff coming too.
Yeah. I put it on. I was like, "God damn!" It was a project I kept coming back to. Just always enjoyed. So yeah, and Mighty Healthy, you did some production on that too, a little bit.
I did the most production on it.
Mm-hmm. You and Concussion.
Yeah, Concussion. Yeah, shout out to Concussion. Yeah, Mighty and Concussion held it down on that joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, Technology did 2 joints on there too. Yeah, they held it down.
That was so. Was that your debut, Ace? Was that the first, or was that?
Nah, it's just I don't know. I guess I just got. I don't know. I want to say acclimated to how things are now, but I've put out plenty of projects, just not on a like a streaming platform like type of deal. You know what I mean? But I
got you. DatPiff releases, in the
DatPiff, SoundCloud, and all that.
LiveMixtapes.com.
All that shit. Yep.
I remember.
Yeah.
Culling through that. So, yeah. My first person who ever followed me on Twitter was Mookie Jones, a pimp rap from Texas, and I reviewed his mixtape. Yeah, I mean that's how it was. We were just on live mixtapes, just pulling everybody's shit.
MySpace, all that shit. Yeah, MySpace. Yeah, all of that. Yep.
So, but that's awesome. That's good to hear. I mean, when I heard Sincerely Yours, I was like, this is somebody with an unnatural amount of poise, right? Just like someone who is like confidently walking us through this world, and it wasn't all swagger. It's like very literary. It's a lot of high level writing, but it was confident. It's a confident album. And I was like, people need to hear this. So I was glad to hear that you were working with Mighty.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We already had this in the works for a while, but we just wanted to wait for the right time. It had to be right, and we didn't want to rush it. It had to be right. Like we had Molotov. When did we have Molotov in Cappadonna?
So I'll talk about Molotov for a bit.
Yeah.
So Molotov is actually the first time someone has ever rapped over Mighty Healthy beat. So I would like to say that was the end of 2019. And then we kind of just been rocking since.
You hear that, everybody? I was the first to rap on a Mighty Healthy beat. The first. We've been had this. Been.
Yeah, what was funny was that I would say I was probably producing for about a year. And I had no interest of working with rappers. I thought I was just gonna do like the Flying Lotus, like Mad Lib thing, and just put out beat tapes. And then Ace was the first person to change my mind.
So,
Which is strange because like Flying Lotus, whenever I listen to Flying Lotus, I'm like, nobody could deal with these beats. These beats are nuts. Right. But like your beats, because you are, and this is where the Swiss Beats comes into effect, right? Your love of Swiss Beats. Part of what was great about Swiss Beats is he was so good for rappers.
Yeah.
Rappers sounded great over Swiss Beats. So like people listen to it now and they go, this isn't a great beat, but you're like, it's a great song though.
Yeah, it worked.
You know? And that's like you set the stage of like a big stage for a rapper to swoop in and terrorize the audience.
Yeah.
So how is this? I mean, I've seen you're posting streaming numbers that look nice, that look very nice. Shout out to that. I would say, how does this compare to the releases incrementally that you've had? King Mighty 2. Are we at an upward trajectory?
Oh, 100%. That opening day was probably the best opening day I've ever had musically. And the best part about the reception so far is that it's just been word of mouth. A lot of the King Mighty 2 reach has probably been through ads and people like yourself discovering like, yo, what is this? But this one really has just been word of mouth so far. I haven't really advertised the album that much. I know I advertise a single a lot, but yes, it's been awesome so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's an advantage to that because there's some of these advertising lanes where you're kind of waiting in line behind a bunch of other people that are advertising in the same spot,
and
that's not fun.
Yeah,
that's not a position of power. If that makes sense.
It's a whole other. It is a problem that a lot of independent artists have. It's just you spend so much time making the thing, but then there's the next level of making sure people hear the thing. But I mean, the reception's been great so far, and it's going to keep going.
And it's the best part about that is the marketing and like you doing it your way through grimynobody.com, through like just word of mouth is definitely a theme of this album. It's definitely a theme of Mighty Cannons, right? Of just not doing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. I mean, people ask. I've been approached a lot. Just, hey, why aren't you doing it on Bandcamp? Why aren't you doing it on this? And I'm like, well, I don't use Bandcamp, so I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But the thing is, I'm like, well, I just like having things in kind of just my own. Kind of my own space and kind of just doing my own thing and being self-sufficient.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ace, were you talking to Mighty about this? How did you feel about how it was received and about, is it how you wanted it to be received?
Oh, it's 100% how I wanted it to be. Like, it's better than what I thought it was going to be. He'll tell you, like, through this process, like in the beginning, it was like, it would be certain beats and stuff he would pick out and be like, yo, did you rap to this yet? Yo, did you write to this? Yo, what'd you think about this? And I'd be like putting certain stuff off to the side because I liked other stuff better. And I'd be doing other beats and other stuff he sent me and I send it. And like he would say nothing about the other stuff, but everything about what he wanted me on. And I like kind of started to get it. And it was kind of like a, hey, trust me kind of thing. And, I've been in a lot of situations as to where it's like, I'm listening to this person, listening to that person, or this person trying to tell me, or this person, or I'm like, no, I want to do it all on my own. I don't want nobody guiding me. But this was like the first time where I really like let go of the wheel and was like, you know, I want to write. I want to just put all of my focus on rapping. I don't want to think about the beats. I don't want to think about the marketing,
Right.
XYZ. We could talk about that stuff, but as far as the creative process, I just really wanted to focus on just rapping, and I really let um Mighty do what he does, and that's produce. And I feel like what he has over a lot of other producers is that he it's not that he's a beat maker, he's a producer. He
Right.
produced it. You know what I mean? You hear that album, the way it's all strung together and everything, that was him. He gets 100% credit for that. So I just sit back and I let him weave everything together, and I had my little, like, you know, tidbits and ideas and everything. And he's a good listener too. That's a good thing about working when you're a creative. You work with somebody. It's not all that he's just guiding the whole thing. It's like if I'm like, because I told him in the beginning, if it's something I don't like, or if it's something that I feel could be a little different, I'm gonna say it. But if everything else, I'm just gonna fall back and let you guide it. And that's what he did, man. He knocked it out of the park.
And Mighty, I think the last words on this album are like an audio clip that's like
Give me your money.
a few seconds that just basically says, "You shut up and go away."
Oh,
give me
and
your
it's
money
so
and
funny.
go.
It's so funny how that came about, right? Because it was one of my friends from high school. You know, I was just chopping it up. We just send voice notes back and forth, and he just sent me that out the blue, and I forgot what we were talking about. I think I was on vacation one time. I'm like, "Yo, you don't know this, but this is gonna be the outro of my album." And it's funny because I think he wants to be a voice actor and stuff too. So I'm like, "Well, this is your first piece of work. Here you go."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got the
You made it.
Maybach.
You made it. You made it.
Yeah.
You got the Maybach music lady that does the beginning. You know this is an opportunity.
Yeah, so he can sue me a decade later.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. But no, that's and you're right, Ace. It's not just like cool beat switches, which are a big part of this project, but like the little audio snippets that will anchor songs or intro songs that are never long. Like the long ones always got on my nerves because it's like
that has always got on my nerves. You know, people, you know, we're not mentioning names, but like a lot of people have like these drawn out transitions and prolonged skits. It's really just to pad the runtime. And one thing I've always wanted to do whenever I got to that kind of skill set is just not do that. You know, if I want to have transitions, they got to be abrupt. They got to be straight to the point. They got to blend and make sense. And you know, that's what happened.
Yeah, Goodfellas style editing, right? Like boom,
Yeah.
Get out of the car, you start walking, you're at the door. I'm not watching you walk through the door. And that's a big part of it. So this leads to the question, which is when you began Mighty Cannons, were there like ground rules? What were you hoping to achieve? What was off? What was not going to happen? What was definitely going to happen?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first. Let the rapper talk.
From my perspective, from what we talked about with this project was what Mighty always said. He's like, y'all want to make the most rapidy rap album to end all rapidy rap albums. And like I understood, like you know how people nowadays say, I felt that. When he said that, I felt that. I'm like, I knew what he meant. He like, you know, respectfully, like you got other artists like, you know, J. Cole, you got Kendrick, and their albums are very introspective and it's very deep and they make you think a lot. And I'm just like, I don't want to do any of that. That's what they did. I'm just gonna hone in because a lot of people just miss straight raw lyrics, boom bap, it's straight to the point. But I'm gonna throw those bars in there. You gotta decipher, but it's not like nothing really introspective. We didn't want to make the artist project. We wanted to make the hip hop enthusiast project, like somebody that can really just listen to it and just all the way through and just, you know, bang their head into a wall to it. So I I feel like that was the only thing that really was like the ground rules, is that he's gonna produce really, really good, and I'm gonna rap really, really good as best as I can. Like that was my whole perspective, and it took me a while to get it, because he'll tell you I was kind of like on the fence, and I was like, I didn't get it at first, and he was like, just trust me, and that's like, I can't remember what song it was. Maybe he knows, but he
Yeah,
remembers. But
it
which
was
one?
it was when I so to kind of show a little a bit of the process. Pretty much all the beats that he originally heard was not what ended up on the album. I'll produce around stuff, I'll switch stuff, I'll add stuff around. So like once I started, I think it was probably Birds of a Feather. It's like, okay, I get it now. I get it now.
Birds of a Feather is incredible. Yeah.
He might have sent that beat to me like 4 or 5 times, and he'd be like, yo, you write to that one beat? And I'd be like, nah. But once I finally wrote to it and he did what he did, and I was like, oh, okay. So Birds of a Feather might have been the track where I was like, okay, I get it. I see what you're trying to do. Okay.
Yeah, because it's funny, like Birds of a Feather, I made 2 years ago. I made it the day of the RZA premiere verses. And so as soon as I made it, I'm like, okay, I don't know who's gonna have this, but like this is gonna be the one. Whoever's gonna have it. and yeah, I would say kind of the ground rules was, obviously have fun. I wanted it to be a fun project. I see there's a bunch of Dragon Ball Z stuff inspired. Like I've always wanted to make an album that just felt like a Dragon Ball Z episode, just like from start to finish, just pure action. And, it's exactly 30 minutes, but no commercial breaks. It's just all action. And, I just wanted to have fun. A lot of guys that put out.
I think a lot of people, I think that'll go over a lot of people's head if they didn't go through that time and you didn't explain it like that. But we both come from that era where like we're big Dragon Ball fans, and that's where we link to, because I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan and Adult Swim and all of that. And
Yep.
if you listen to that album, it feels like you watching Adult Swim, from the way it comes on to the skits and the inserts, and it's exactly 30 minutes, which every episode on Adult Swim is 30 minutes. So like that was all him, like that intricate thinking. Like I want it to be exactly 30 minutes to, like that's genius. That's genius work right there.
And we could share this. We even tried to get what's that guy's name? Who's the Toonami guy again?
I can't remember, the guy that plays the robot on Toonami that talks when it comes in.
Oh shit!
We tried to get him to tie that all together to make it more obvious, but we couldn't.
Yeah, and it just the person who was talking to back just was not with it. But we're really trying to lean into that. Just like it just feels like an episode of something. And I mean, Mighty Can is just a culmination of just everything we like, and just I really tried to make we really tried to make the most exciting project possible.
Yeah, the one that lives in my head, the little snippet that lives in my head, the most is the crazy apparition thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Birds of a Feather. Yeah.
That shit really, because it's so out of nowhere, and it's so that old timey.
It's like creepy. It's creepy a little bit. It's like voodoo, like some voodoo shit. Like I don't know what he was thinking. That shit was creepy. And then you got like Frieza. You have Frieza laughing. People might not catch that part, but that laughing at the end is Frieza.
Yeah, Toei Animation, don't sue us.
No, it's well.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, what we said. Yeah.
The thing is, like and the cool thing of what Ace said about like just rapping, right? And the one of the most interesting things about hip hop is if you're just rapping your ass off, like the story about the surrealists back in the day was they would clear their mind of everything and then just start painting whatever was there. And once it was done, they'd be like, oh shit, that's probably symbolic of, that's probably, you know what I mean? Their unconscious was full of shit. It's full of stuff that ended up on the canvas. So when you just start rapping, like the pain is there. You know what I mean? The perseverance is there. It's gonna be there. So there's still shit on this that is like some of the most motivational bars I've ever heard. Like, just like, you go ahead and strip me naked, I'm gonna come back fully clothed. Like, you know, I will not lose music, right? Like, but there's also some real, I mean, beautiful, beautiful shit. The fucking ending, my favorite song.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Spoiler alert. My favorite song. The body of that song is you kind of retreating into childhood.
Yeah.
What breakfast smelled like, what people were around. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. This is the end of the album.
Thank you.
Within the end of the album is the beginning of where the album came from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's
wow.
It's funny, right? Was it my idea that I was like, yo, just talk about your childhood on this one? Was it my idea?
Yeah, it was like you was saying like you need to like just travel, and I went back on it, and I just, you know, because it sounded like growing up. So like with that whole like watching Dragon Ball, watching Marvel, and all these comic book DC stuff, and you know, that's why I say superhero theme music. You know, like this is what it sounds like to me. Like I'm sitting there going back to those days where I'm watching those early morning cartoons and stuff. Like that's what that beat sounded like to me. So it took me there. But yeah.
And then as far as the production approach, like so what I'll tell people is like Jesus is my favorite Kanye album, and I like that because it's like he purposely didn't give you soul stuff, and he chose when to give it to you. And I always like so like I'm like, okay, this obviously isn't bound, but you know, people know me, I don't do the drumless stuff, I don't sample certain things, so I'm like, okay, I wanted to end it completely different from the rest of the album, but still matches the album.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and the intentionality of the sequencing is really present. It's really.
I think that was to me that was like he'll tell you like I like to be transparent. Like going into this album, I was like terrified because of how good King Mighty 2 was.
Fair.
I was like, dude, like I was like the way you produced that album, like that album is like an anomaly to me because it's not really like, you know, from an MC standpoint, I'm not like, you know, oh, I can't rap that good, or you know, it was just everything was good. Micah did everything good. He did everything good. He did the sequencing. Everything was just perfect about that album, and I love that album. I still listen to that album. So the way he like weaved that album together, what him and Micah did, man, is still something to be like I feel like that still needs to be like said and promoted. Like that album is so good, and that motivated me more with this project because I was like, you know, even though like obviously we had this Mighty Cannons idea before the first like King Mighty, they did it first, so that's what people know first. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like I'm coming behind two great projects with the Mighty and somebody else name. Like if people are used to King Mighty and King Mighty 2, it's like Mighty Cannons. It's like, nah. I'm like, yo, he knows. I told him and Jamil, shout out to Jamil. I told both of them, like, I don't know, yo, it's so good. I don't know if I can do it. They did such a good job, you know. So, but
and it's funny.
I'm glad everybody's like, you know, fucking with it.
And
like,
it's
really.
funny. What was my reaction for the very beginning? I was just like, nah, we gonna get it out of here, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, Vice. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting to think about how those projects are interesting and different. Like King Micah, to me, he sounds like someone who's beating you while paying 40% attention.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got this like casual intelligence to the way he performs and writes, where he's like, I'm bored with you, but I'm gonna beat you and take my time with you, you know.
That's what he did on the album. I was like, yo, he's talking about his teacher, and it made it seem like I'm smarter than my teacher. I wonder if he knows the lesson. Like,
well, there was the biggest moment on that where I think he's like that is there's a part of the verse where he's like, "But I'm not even mad at you.
right.
I see that you're part of that system. I'm just
Right.
smarter than you."
He's very cerebral that way. Yeah, yeah.
Micah, man. And that was the funny thing because working with him, he's like the calmest, chillest guy to ever work with. And so, the goal for King Mighty 2, I'm like, okay, like how do I rattle him? Like, how do I, and it's just like, no matter how chaotic the beat, like he still found he was still centered.
Yep.
He's zen.
Yeah, super zen.
And I think the difference is with Ace is kind of the Inspector Deck of that. Like he's the, if you were to think of Micah as like the calm king of his own world, Raekwon-ish, right? And then like Ace is Inspector Deck. Ace is the person who jumps on the song, takes it over, and is just like, welcome,
Yeah.
Deck has verses that change the world.
Yeah, we talk about that, like how like Deck single-handedly has some of like the best verses on like Wu-Tang records, and it's incredible. Shout out to Deck, man. It's incredible. Deck, Ghost, all of them incredible.
Yep. No, it's so that's I think the difference with the writing, but how long did the sequencing take to really get where you wanted?
Oh man, oh my god, it was so ambitious. Like it, but honestly, like it probably took a couple weeks. Kind of the same thing with King Mighty 2. The difference is it's like a year has gone by, so things have changed in my skill set, and so it was way more ambitious, but it was fewer songs, even though there was like mad beat switches, so it still felt like 15 songs.
Right.
Yeah, probably a couple weeks. What I like to do is, and I think I probably talked about this in like the first interview, is in the beginning stages of a project, I already have an idea of how the album should go, even if I don't have the music yet. So I already had an idea of like, okay, I want like a fast-paced intro. There has to be a beat switch. And then we have to get into like one of the singles, which was FKS. I'm like, there has to be a beat switch there. And okay, maybe on the third track we have Molotov. Like I already had everything in mind. So once I got, all the vocals and stuff back, it was just a matter of just putting what I wrote down together.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and the one I was fascinated by Gotham being number 5, right? Because you've got the fucking ending, you've got the intro, and the key is you don't want anyone to get worn out by this, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna wrap your ass off over these huge drums. You've got to have the pace has got to be right. So the 5th song is as important as the last song, right? Because you don't want people to get off the ride. And check out. So Gotham is, when did you know Gotham was the middle of the album? The hi-hat on that is just heinous. And
that beat is so ignorant. Like it's like the most ignorant, like
both of them. And it's funny, so many people, because I had the idea because the other beat, I had given it to so many people, like Elucid had that one, Alex Ludovico had that one. I'm trying to think who else had. A lot of people had it, but then what?
No, I'm talking to those people that had that beat.
Right, like, hey, but it's good. But it's funny though because I'm putting together the thing, and Gotham was kind of just like the first new idea because I was like, okay, they're both the same BPM. I could do this, I could do that, and then the one thing with beat switches is that they always kind of go the same. It's oh yeah, we'll change the beat after the verse, or we'll go to like another song, whatever. But I was like, what if I treated the beat switch as a hook, and then what if I just kept switching it back and forth? I never really heard that before. So I was like, okay, I'm doing that, and then we're just getting Josiah, okay, and one of my biggest, the reason why it's kind of smack in the middle is because I feel most albums kind of crumble in the middle. not to say that King Mighty 2 crumbled in the middle, but I was like, I wish we had something more hype in the middle. I think in the middle we had what was it? I think it was culinary arts. I think it was like it was still up tempo, but it was still kind of smooth.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, nah, if I want energy from 1 to 10, like I need another 10 in the middle.
You need ignorance. You need straight ignorance.
Oh god, that was so ignorant. And then it goes back into Birds of Feather. Like this is stupid, man.
If you look at the classic albums, they have a song in the middle that like introduces you to the second half of the album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I know you like that shit. I like that shit too, but check it out.
And I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you right now. But then I'm gonna let Josiah come in and have probably one of the best verses I ever heard him rap.
That is definitely that is the best verse I've ever heard him do.
Like that verse, he killed that. He killed it. It's ridiculous, dude. And you know, him and Jamil, man, like I don't know those guys, man. Like I said, like out of the features on the album, like Josiah, Jamil, I'd be like this.
Yeah, which one's the best? Yeah,
because I love Jamil's verse on how like it like if the song's here, when he comes on, it like goes up like this. Like it's so good. It's so good, man.
It's his element. It's his element.
Shout out to Jamil Honesty, the legend, man.
Yeah, shout out to all the guests.
Shout out to Substance too, man.
Josiah, Bill,
Grasshopper.
Yeah,
Cappadonna.
My favorite.
Cappadonna.
We'll get. My favorite Posse Cup might be Open Book. Just that is just such a high level of, of rapping. It's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. I hope, sometimes I tell Mighty a lot, like when we like talking about the songs, I'm like, I said so much. I hope it didn't go over people's head. Like, I hope the average, like the listener will really like listen to what I actually said. But like, just from the hook standpoint, from Jamil and me doing the hook at the same time, it was like, for me, it was like, I want this Tribe Called Quest type feeling for like where it's more than one person saying the hook, and they might not even be perfectly in sync, like, but they're saying it together. Like, I wanted that whole like tribal feeling, like that that shit that we missed, that shit we grew up on. That's what I wanted in there. So it's like we said, it's like everything we ever liked. So I wanted to have that element in there. And Jamil, man, he killed it on the hook.
And we should speak about hooks at this point, because a lot of the rapidy rap albums that you hear now, right, they have several issues, right? The first is, and this is mentioned within the body of the album, not spoiler, but they are like semi Dillinger beats, Dillinger Jr. beats, right? Derringer Jr. beats.
The underground's wash. That's what I said. I don't mince words. The underground's wash. All y'all do is dub Derringer and Alchemist.
And so, but the second problem is they take the hooks out too. So now you have Derringer Jr. beats, no hooks, and you just have someone rapping until their face is all red, right? And you're like, okay, but the other guy did that too. So
it's so ridiculous. Like it's the problem is, if you're gonna do that, you have to, like, what are you doing? One, that's gonna separate yourself from the 6,000 other people that put out the same album with the same cover, with the same vinyl, with the same release schedule, with the same everything. And it's just like, if you're gonna do that, I get it. People want to rap again. People want to, make music with integrity. But it's like, how are you making it exciting?
If I see one more album cover with like the Statue of Liberty with a blindfold over her eyes, with like, I don't know, Frank Sinatra in the corner, like collages,
like cocaine everywhere. Like, come on, man. And
they stand out so much because we have great album covers now too. artists are all over the internet, right?
Mhm.
All you have to do, everybody's like, you know, people have dope people who do all their albums, right? That you're just like, holy shit, you know? And so if I look at your album cover and it's whack, I'm like, why is it whack? The dude who's broker than you has a better album cover.
Yeah, everybody wants to do like, even though, you know, it's hard to say underground, but just, you know, the whole independent scene, it's almost like there's like a mainstream independent scene that everybody wants to aspire to.
Mhm.
And it's just like, why keep doing the same thing? You know, the people above you have gone there by being themselves. So why are you going to sit there and copy that?
Right.
You know, that's why like album art is always huge to me. Like I usually do, well, I've done probably nearly all my album art. This guy, shout out to Dark Hand Zero. He did, he was one that did the characters. So I like, because I draw too. So I did the sketch and I just had him just flesh it out. But then, you know, I do all my packaging and do everything. Like album art is crucial to me. Because just like, if you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but then you see something like this, you're like, okay, I at least need to see what this is about.
It's weird because at Ace, as I said, I started this shit 11 years ago, pulling weird shit from Dat Piff and live mixtapes and all that shit. And it came to a point where I was like, yo, if he took that much time on the art, it's probably going to be good.
Yeah.
You know, like, why would you take so much time to have such a beautiful cover and then just dump whack shit on it? And that's like, that was more rare than the whack cover leading to a whack album.
Yeah.
But hooks wise, Birds of a Feather has a really dope hook. Gotham has a singing in the beginning that's really cool. Did the project have any rules or general feelings about where hooks were in the process?
I'll let you go.
Not really. That was one of the things. How you said when we talked and what we talked about, like Mighty style is and you'll get this if you listen to it. Like if you listen to a lot of the earlier music, like the first you know, two King Mighties, he doesn't. His thing is he didn't like a lot of structure, like a formal song structure. Like, but me, I'm if you ever heard any of my older music, I like hooks. I like structure. I like songs. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm gonna meet you halfway. We gonna have some songs like The Rise. Like if you notice The Rise, it comes in and it's like a kind of like a melodic, it's like a hook, but then I go right into the rap and it's just rap from now on. I'm not doing no, and it goes right into Gotham. And then you know it's like Open Book, and you know like we both let each other live in what we like to do on a project. And me, I'm a hook guy. I love writing hooks. In fact, when I get off of here, I have to do a hook for King Micah that he's been waiting on, and the deadline's tomorrow. So I got you, bro. After this, when I'm done this is what I'm doing. So yeah, that's like my thing. I love hooks, man. I love hook making, and that was one of the things that I was real big on, and you know, and that was that compromise. Like I want to do hooks. You don't like hooks and song structure, but we found a way to make it work. And like, you know, I know it's gonna sound crazy because it's our project, but like I really listened with an honest ear, and I'm like, I don't think I listen to everything else, and I'm like, I don't think it's as good. I just don't. And you know, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but that's just how I feel. Like I'm like, that's good, that's great, but nah, man,
It's not us.
some of the shit he did with the beats and shit I'm doing with lyrics, like, come on, bro, like, call a spade, bro. That shit is just out of here, bro. It's different. It's just different. It's different than anything else out, and that's why I like it a lot. It's not even that you can argue that other things are better, but it's just not like anything else. That's what I love about this project.
Yeah, Mighty Cannons feels like the character that took over the movie.
Yeah.
They were like, everybody walking out of the theater, like, when are they going to give that character his own movie? That character. Yeah. So it, you know, the Rocket Raccoon of the whole deal. But no, it's the hooks. and people who don't know should go back to Sincerely Yours, listen to Helpless. Ace Cannons is buttery on that, singing, you know, and it's a very smooth situation. I would say that it's awesome to know that you were weaving in the hooks when you could, and Mighty was creating chaos where we
could, right. That's his that's his MO. But like we said with this album, this Mighty Cannons album, we're artists, and this is art, and this is an art form, but this wasn't the artist album. This was the, like he said, the rapidy rap album to end all rapidy rap albums. And like, you know, like you said, if you listen to Sincerely Yours, you can tell I like to do other things. I like to be like go into artist mode. But with this album, it was like, yo, you're really good at rapping, like rap. I want you to really rap. And that's all I focused on, was really rapping, instead of just trying to make like the artist project where I'm, you know, everybody got to make a song, a concept song where you're speaking from the perspective of something else. But, you know, I didn't do none of that. It was just like, yo, straight up, kill it. Like the shit we grew up on, Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang, Outkast, rap. You know what I mean? Buster, rap.
No, I mean, well, and it's what it. The other thing that we need to put on the table here in terms of rapidy rap albums, right, and in terms of misconceptions, people doing it wrong, right? We talked about Derringer Jr. beats. We talked about no hooks, rapping to you blue in the face. The next one is the notion that if you do it right now in one take and put it out, that makes it like awesome and organic, right? Like you're like, oh, I killed this shit. It's 1,000 years ago, you used to run a poetry venue locally, right? I used to help run a poetry organization. And I was never a poet. I was always a short story writer. Just, I like to read the shit out loud, so you liked it. And these kids would drive me nuts. They'd come in and be like, I just wrote this at the back of the room. The title is the date. And I'm like, I hate you. Go away. Get the fuck out of here.
I hate
it was
you.
always awful, right? Because there was like, you didn't edit that shit at all. Like, half of it doesn't even make sense. Like, so the notion that rapidy rap is like whatever comes out of your face whole is awful.
Oh man. Yeah, I'll let Ace talk to what he changed like in his writing process for this, because it's interesting.
Oh well, yeah, like a lot of times in my music, like I'm so sure of what I'm writing, like that, like let's just say, since we talked about Sincerely Yours, like when I write a song, I used to follow this thing that the singer Neo said that Jay-Z said to him, that if you have to think about a song too long, you know, that's not the song you want to write. So everything I wrote, I was so confident in it and I felt it. And I was like, that's it. Every song I did, that's it. I might go back and tweak it, or I might want to say it a little different with the same words, but that's it. But with this project, I really wanted to take my time because I knew I was really rapping, and I wanted to be so articulate that I changed the way I write. Like this album changed the way I write music. And like going back to songs after I wrote them and like changing lyrics and really harping on just like 2 bars and like how I want to do it, and you know, trying to make these like these double, triple entendres. Like I was like thinking about, I thoroughly thought about what I wanted to say, and I was like, if somebody catches it, they catch it. If you catch what I'm saying on Birds of a Feather, the first verse, then you catch it. If you don't, you don't. If you catch what I'm saying on the second half when the beat change, you don't. But that's what I love about like deep writing, because sometimes I'll still go back and listen to old Jay or Nas or Eminem, and I might catch something now that I'm older, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't even realize he was saying it. So I love music that you can like break down and dissect, and that's what I wanted to do with my writing. So like I honed in on that particular thing, and and I'll never write the same again.
I forced myself to go back and listen to old Eminem recently. And can I tell you what I miss from old Eminem to now Eminem?
You talk about this. Go ahead. I want to hear what you say.
Yeah.
All right, here's my pick. I was listening to old Eminem, Slim Shady LP, and I was like, fuck, he was so good at character movement outside of the primary narrative. He was so good at like, oh no, don't cry, Haley, right? He was so good at like I'm giving you character movement around me. I'm not even talking to you now. I'm building the scene outside of that, right? And like that's friend or foe, right? Friend or foe. You know, like that don't move now, right? Like you'll
making
me
nervous.
Yeah. He's telling you what's happening outside of himself and painting the picture. And that's fucking writing. That's beautiful.
Right. Yeah, and like, you know, at his peak, like he was hilarious and effortless. And it's just like he would just say stuff, and it might not even be like the most poignant thing, but like you just can't help but bust out laughing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Todd, they know it's us.
But yeah,
I love Eminem, man.
but we're gonna get to the Ace Cannon's writing segment in a bit.
Yeah.
There will be flowers distributed. But what is the loudest song on this album?
You gonna go first? I can go first. I'll tell you what the loudest song is.
You go first. I think I know your answer.
It's 2 records. Gotham, Molotov.
Hey, Molotov feels heinous. Molotov feels like the Sex Pistols playing God Save the Queen as they in a boat next to the Queen, whatever. Like it feels like a giant like middle finger to everybody making this sad, sorrowful rap music.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jabil. Jabil was just like, man, what is wrong with you? Why'd you put that song? Because we had it done for years. I mean, obviously, you know, we redid it and changed some stuff for this new version, but we had that song because, mind you, I'm saying, you know, I made that beat in 2019. He recorded it in 2019, and I didn't think it was a good beat, and you know, I wasn't too crazy because like I didn't really know what I was.
He was tripping.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. I didn't really know what I was doing, and you know, because I think I made Catatonic that same day too, and like I was kind of whatever on them, but it was Jamil who was just like, come on, man, like what is wrong with you? Why are you? I'm so disappointed, you guys. You're not putting it out.
Yo, he was letting people hear it. Yo, why you didn't put this out? I let these people hear it. I let this person hear it. Yo, y'all tripping. And at first, it wasn't gonna be on the album. And then I was like, one day I was like, yo, I think Molotov needs to be on the album. And we talked about it. And yeah, I'm glad it's on the album now. I'm glad it's on there. It's like an important piece.
And so for those listening, that's why it's called Molotov 2, because you know it's like Shook was. It's like there's a first version that no one will ever hear, but it exists. But you know we obviously revamped it a little bit for the album version.
That's awesome. But Mighty, what is your loudest song on there?
I'd have to say probably Gotham is just pure noise because it's so unmusic. You know, because
healthy at the beginning, you got the car, you got all the madness. Then I come in yelling, everybody's a Basquiat. You know, it's just
and then
that's right.
It changes. You got you got Busta in the background. Like there's no real like it's just noise, and even the beat switch is just like I just found some other noises and just. I was like, what's like the stupidest, noisiest thing I could possibly do?
It's like one of those burritos that's so full of stuff that you're like, how is this even functionally a burrito anymore? Like, I can't lift this. What is this? That's awesome. That's great. And oh, by the way, Mighty, we're going to go back because Ace gave us his level of editing. I want to give you your chance to talk about your level of editing in the process of Mighty Cannons.
Oh, man. Like, I approach albums as from like a director. Like I'm like, okay, in this scene he's gonna do this. So if he's gonna talk about this, I'm gonna have this sample go do that. That's why probably one of the most fun parts was the third verse on Open Book, when he goes completely autobiographical. And so I'm like, oh, let me just add all the sound effects to match what he's saying and pan everything. And then I have the Hive sample creep in. Yeah, you know, I would say my biggest skill set is it's not drums, it's not Hive tweak samples, it's not bass, it's post-production. Like, you know, I'm you know, Ace knows too, like the beats that he recorded to versus what actually came out are completely different. FKS has gone through so many revisions. You know, even Hive went through a lot of stuff. You know, all the beats have went through just countless revisions and revisions. Like there's like 3 different versions of FKS, and like they'll never see the light of day. But it was just countless, just relentless, just editing.
What a treat it was. I'll say that. That's all I gotta say. What a treat it was to like
Because
put your art out there, and then it come like, imagine hearing like FKS for the first time and you didn't even know the beat was gonna switch. Like
right.
Yeah, because the thing is, FKS was originally 2 different songs.
Pablo's Grave.
Yeah, it was really called that, and because, you know, because in my mind, if I'm like, okay, if the BPM's similar, I could find a way to, you know, switch it in or whatever. And even that beat switch, I had an early version of that the day of the pandemic. So even that one, that was like something that I was like, okay, I know I want to give it to Ace, but I don't know if it's like album ready yet. And so once he laid that, and then once he gave us, because even FKS sounded completely different. It was, I was like, okay, I got to combine both. You know, there has to be a hook set. I got really into just arrangement as well. That's one thing that I really wanted to step up with on a new project, was just arrangement. And you know, a lot of guys that just flat out are not capable of doing that. You know, they're just loopers or whatever. But I really wanted to just focus on that part and really making a song out of it. That's why, you know, you didn't even ask it, but like FKS is like my favorite song. It was so fun doing that one.
Yeah. No, the way you talk about FKS is like the way a parent talks about their most successful kid.
It's the closest thing I have to one.
You're like, you know, FKS is doing great. I'm like, yeah, I believe it. It's a great. I'm glad, and I think it's really important for people that are creators, right? Editing is not mistake hunting.
Yeah.
Editing is discovery. You might not even know what you really want to say yet. When you go and edit that shit, you're like, oh, that's what this whole fucking thing means. And then you edit from that perspective, and you get a wider picture, and you get it in focus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. And they definitely don't teach you that in school. Anyway, so going back to Ace Cannons and the writing, this Ace Cannons bit will live in my mind until it doesn't properly function. Birds of a Feather, the great Alaska Adams' favorite song so far.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to him because he don't like anything. So when he shot, I'm like, oh shit! Like,
yeah.
So, you don't see me outside because I'm low key as a lonely pianist playing the lowest key in a cement room below sea level. How low I be?
Yeah.
That's like a Wes Anderson movie in the middle of a roaring song about biters. Like, It's insane. How important was it to show people what good writing sounds like?
To me, like, to go back on what I said earlier, it was like one of those things I kept going back to, and I was like, yo, like, I had the first part, You know what I mean? And it was like, yo, how low can I? Because anybody that knows me in real life watching this interview, they like, yeah, that dude's low. Like, oh, if you're close to him, then you know. But if you're not like you never see me. Like, I'm a low person, so it was just kind of like, and you see things that's going on in the world, and you see how, as far as in our community, like what we do to each other and what goes on racially, and this is like, I just like, yo, dude. And then rap, this whole like rap underground community, it's like a lot of ego, and he said this and he did that, and I'm just like, yo, I don't want to be like, Jamil calls me an alien. That's how low I am. Jamil Honesty always said, yo, you heard of this guy? And I'm like, nah, I never heard. What? Yo, when you live under a rock? Well, I'm low, bro. I just stay low. And that's just like, it was just like, how far can I go to tell you that I'm just like laying low and I don't give a fuck about nothing else that's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I mean, that image unfurls in this incredible way, right? If he had just said, "I'm low as a lonely pianist," I'd be like, "Oh my god, that was something." There was a lonely pianist in the middle of this album, but then he's in a cement room, and you're like, "Oh, that's even sadder." Now he's below sea level, right? Like, outside of the cement room, Aquaman's arguing with his fucking mom. That's how
Right.
low.
Right. That's one of my favorite lines on the whole project. So yeah, I love that. I like when you are anybody that's a rapper, that's a writer, like they know when they like wrote like a really good line and it just sticks with them. Like that's on the album. That's like, as far as like I've been rapping, that's one of my favorite like sequences right there.
It's just so much funny because it's also piano samples.
That too, yeah. It's like everything. It was just, we talked about that before. Like, I was like, yo, did I even notice that? And it sounds like he got birds in the background of the beat. And I'm like, did I notice that when I said birds of a feather? Like, I don't know. Maybe the beat talks to you when you write to it and you don't even know. Like sometimes subconsciously, you don't even know the beat is like talking to you, and you're like implementing that into the lyrics. And me and him talked about that before, and I was like, yo, I think the beat might have been talking to me, and that's how I came up with those bars. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, and I've talked to a lot of people who don't know exactly where everything traces from, and I think after you've done what you've done for years and years and years, the editing is internalized to a certain extent. Your first draft gets better and better and better, right? So you get to the point where you are unconsciously putting things together and organizing things, even when you're trying not to. And I think that's must be a part of that. But yeah, that was like that sequence is like the saddest Pixar short film you could imagine.
That's like my 1 and 2. Like I have 2 favorite bars on the album, like sequences on the album, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and in a weird way, it is also vindicating because it is like you saying, look, the music vindicates me. That pianist below sea level in his room still has the piano.
Yes.
And that pianist is dope. So his shit sounds good, and that's really all you need. And that's a level you have to get to as a creator where if you're good at this shit, that has to be enough on some level. You have to disconnect yourself from the rat race and let yourself get that.
For sure, bro. For sure.
Yep. Speaking to the people. So Mighty was listening to this. I was thinking, Mighty Cannons isn't about how many whack MCs are out there eating. I don't think that. Okay. To me, it's about how many talented MCs are messing up their career, following trends that don't fit them.
Oh man, this guy's good.
Or is that real?
Huh?
Did I make that up, or is that real?
It's a big part of it because I would say, you know, at least on the production side, because Ace and I, we talk about this all the time. It's like, I believe in being the change you want to see, you know? So with, you know, King Mighty 2 is a big part of that. I'm like, you know, people are making music a certain way. Instead of complaining about it, let me just fill that gap. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Mighty Cannons was, that's why I tell people Mighty Cannons is the King Mighty 2 sequel. You know, it's MCU'd out. Like, it's this, this is, you know, King Mighty 2. I always make fun of Mike. I'm like, oh, sorry, man, you Iron Man 2, and this is like Captain America. Like, it's just, it's just, I don't even know if that came out after, but yeah, you know, I believe in being the change you want to see. You know, I was never a fan of like long drawn out intros about nothing. So I'm like, well, let's have an abrupt intro. You know, I see people all the time that do like Wu-Tang kind of influences and stuff, but like, it's like, it always feels like something's missing. So I'm like, oh, well, let me just fix that. Like, let me just, you know, and, you know, I'll let Ace speak to the writing side, because he has pretty cool stuff about that.
I'm sorry.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, I hear you. Yep.
My bad. I was distracted. Say it one more time.
Oh yeah, you know, kind of. Well, I'll let the host talk.
No, we were talking about the, you know, being the change that you wanted to see out there, and how the album is kind of about not just being a whack rapper, but being a talented rapper who's standing in a line trying to fit in, ruining your career.
Yeah, like he said, like he said, we talk about, like, you know, it's like the most cliche thing you could say is be the change you want to see in the world. But usually cliches are a cliche for a reason, because it's true. You know what I mean? Yes. So like, instead of me sitting here complaining about why I feel like MCA or MCB and MCC that I grew up idolizing, or that a MC that I really admire is not doing this, and he's not doing this, and he used to be so good at this, and he was good at this. Don't complain about, don't go out to the world in these interviews like how I'm sitting here talking to you, or in saying names and being disrespectful to people that inspired you. You know what I mean? Just do what you think that they're not doing anymore. You know, do what you think that you want to hear, and in turn, it's gonna like, that vibration is gonna spread out, and people that want to hear the same thing that we're talking about are gonna feel that. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, yo, people just don't really rap really good anymore. Like, it's either like we just talking about drugs over hard beats, or the lyrics are kind of really good, but the beats are crazy, like weird. It's like, you know, it's no good balance. It's like, yo, whatever happened to really good beats and really good lyrics?
Yeah.
Like, and that's where we just, you know, we honed in on that first. We trying to be the change you want to see.
There was a period of time where like drug addict music took over.
It's still lingering. It's lingering still, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like lean and pills, and yeah, like it's yeah.
And it became really sad. Like, the new album was like the last note, I'm leaving you before I go.
If you're reading this, it's too late.
I was
I'm
like,
in the
damn.
kitchen. I'm in the kitchen. I'm dead.
It's over. Flatline.
Yeah, people would be like, I love so and so. I'm like, you better love him now.
Yeah. He's gonna die. That's bad.
Yeah, it was tough. But yeah, there was, so that is awesome to just step in there, because if you don't, I think a lot of people will step out there and kind of Kevin Durant the situation and just be like, this guy over here sucks, this guy over here sucks, this guy over here sucks. And to Ace's point, if instead of that you step in and become that positive change, you can reignite people who might be on autopilot. You know, fix the situation by just setting an example, you know. Yeah, Tim Duncan, that shit. So the next question is Cappadonna. Cappadonna says terrifying tongue hymns. How was that realization that you didn't just get a Cappadonna verse, but a dialed in all-time Cappadonna verse?
But that was me. That was me.
I fucked that up. That's crazy.
Yeah. Cappadonna's at the end.
He's at he doesn't rap. Okay.
No, he doesn't rap. No, he talks at the end, but still, that's a great thing because I was tapping into that Wu energy, and it was like, yo, I want
terrifying tongue hymns.
When people hear this verse, I want them to think like, yo, this is Wu-Tang right here. So even for you saying that, that's like that's great because it's like I don't care about it being me. Like that's how much I love Wu-Tang. It's like I want it to be like it's bigger than me. Like how we just said, be the change you want to see. I miss Wu-Tang, man. I miss real Wu-Tang. So that beat, everything, it just made me like rap that way. And you know, like I said, like I don't want to share like, you know, I don't want to like just like post everything that's like being said, but like yeah, you're like I talked to Cap about that, and he just he really likes the song. He really loves it, and you know,
that's awesome.
That's the bro, man. Like you know, he always tell me anytime you can call me anytime. I wanted a verse though. I wanted a verse. I'm not gonna front. I wanted the verse.
It was funny was that, you know,
it was wrapped up. He was too busy working on Supreme Clientele 2. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but he's working on Supreme Clientele 2 and
beautiful
shit he doing and shit like that. So we got what we got, and you know, I'm kind of happy it turned out that way because guys like, you know, I always butcher my man name Substance.
Yeah, Substance. Yeah.
Ooh.
My man Substance. I don't get the substance part wrong. I get the numbers wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
My man Substance. So like having him on there and like, you know, my brother, I let my brother hear the song and he was like, yo, who's this? And it was Substance rapping. And he was like, yo, this sounds like somebody from Killer Army. Like, like, but that's dope to me because I grew up listening to them. Like, and I was like, yo, you right. Like, so it made it even more special. And I'm glad that, like, you know, he just talked on it and guys that deserve some shine got like some shine if any shine is given, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because the thing is, and I think we could share like this was intended to be a Cappadonna song. So you know, like that's why Ace has it was like heavy Wu-Tang references and like referencing Cap in the verse because like it's supposed to be him and then Cap comes on and I was supposed to be for Cap.
Yeah, my verse, you know, I wrote.
Yeah, you know, he was working on other stuff, so it's just like, well, this song is too good to just scrap. Like, we'll just use it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I was talking to Ace before we jumped on that. Like, there's this process where people like because Wu-Tang now is enormous, and it's like legendary. But when I was growing up, everybody wasn't into Wu-Tang.
Right.
And Wu-Tang, the album 36 Chambers took a while to go gold. In an environment where lots of people were going gold and platinum. It was a slow burn. But we were like a cult. You know? There was like 3 to 5 years where all I wore was Wu wear.
Yeah. I had the fake Wu wear. I had knockoffs. I had knockoff Wu wear. I had knockoff Wu from the
you had Wu War.
Yeah, all of that Wu. I had all of that. Yeah. It was like that. Like just to have that logo. Like when I was like 13, I would have killed to have the hat you have on your head. Like I would have been like, yo, let's, you know, we gonna jump him, take his hat. Like that's how much we love that shit, man. And that influence is heavy on this project as well, man. Like yeah, that's like one of the core influences because he's a big RZA fan. I'm a big RZA fan as far as production goes, and you know, obviously a lot of the members are legendary MCs, so it's a lot of them.
To your point, Mighty, it's not just the influence, it's also the excitement. The excitement of hearing the Wu-Tang is in this album.
Yeah, and that was that to me is the biggest thing of the biggest part of Wu-Tang. You know, Wu-Tang means a lot to me because it's supposed to be like the hardest, most exciting, like, you know, action, like now there's people, they say, oh yeah, but it's just like, no, there's always the excitement part that's missing. That people, when, because this is not, this is a style that has been done by different people over the years, but it's always felt like the excitement was missing.
If you listen to that intro, you hear like when at the beginning talking and you hear like the sample playing, you'll hear like the bees cut in and you'll hear that bee sound.
Yeah.
It's like foretelling, like, the hot is coming. You know what I mean? It just goes through the album. It builds up and then Hive,
That's amazing. That's amazing. I have to give another shout out because when you talk about the excitement's in the beat, but I have to give love to Ace too, because the reason I gave the Inspector Deck comparison is Ace is not just an incredible writer, but he's an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fucking songs are fun to listen to. Every time Ace speaks, you have to listen. I don't mistake people for Cappadonna all the time. So there's a focus and there's a performance to what you're doing on top of the writing that is married in a way that we don't get a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great writers in hip hop, I don't care to listen to. They're not really performing.
Yeah, they're just checking boxes. They're just, oh, I'm writing good. Oh, I say clever thing. Okay, all right, that's it. Yep. So much more.
Yep.
Like I told him a lot, like on this album, a lot. The thing he said that I got used to him saying, and the thing that I said that he got used to me saying is him saying BPMs to me, and me saying vocal inflections. Vocal inflections was like my main thing on this in post-production. Like that was like the thing I was really into, because I never like worked with a producer that was so keen on like, the post-production of a song. I'm like, really? Oh, I'm gonna change this. What you think? Wow, really? I like that. Oh no, but I don't like this. I'm gonna change this. What you think? I'm like, really? Like I'm just sitting there like a kid like on Christmas. I'm like, I like everything. What do you want me to say? You know what I mean? So, and then like to what you said about like Inspector Deck and like Wu-Tang, like so many Wu-Tang references through the album. They're like they're sprinkled, but it's so light that you don't even notice. Like on Catatonic, I say a Mozart with a twist of ghost cadence, and then on Molotov, I say it's the Rebel, but I ain't Chuck or INS. You know what I mean? So it's like we kind of like wanted to like sprinkle that like respect through the album, and hopefully people would catch on. Well, they'll know if they watch this, but
Right.
There's a lot of like little idiosyncrasies.
That's beautiful.
That's another word. That's another word.
Yeah. No, it's great. And the other thing Mighty told me was he wanted to make the perfect 30-minute album.
Yeah.
In this environment, it's very important because a lot of the restrictions around the way music's made have been gone, right? You don't have to make a 3-minute song. You can make a 1-minute song, right? You can have just one 9-minute song. You can do whatever you want. So the question becomes, what is an album and what is an EP, definition wise?
Well, I mean, I'll go with the Grammy Spotify definition. I think for rap, it's because there'll be metal albums that like Dope Smoker's one song and it's an hour, right. But just I think Kanye kind of, all right, it's 7 now. Like, okay, an album can be 7 songs now, whatever. I think what makes an album is more than just the time and length. Is the complete thought.
Oh, okay.
It's if you can go through this thing and it doesn't feel you feel like there's a start and an ending, there's a conclusion, and there's a complete thought. You know, people kind of take the reins off of that, and that's when they do an EP. An EP is like, oh, here's just me, like, here's a couple songs. There's nothing's tied together, nothing's going on here, just low stakes. It's the EP. It's like when a lot of people, you know, they'll make albums and then lie and say they're mixtapes to lower expectations. You know, for me, an album is like you putting your stamp on it. This is how I'm feeling at this particular time. This is what I'm thinking. Here's a complete thought.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've gone through a bunch of different things because there are still people out there, wonderfully cheeky people, who are saying Illmatic is an EP, which is funny.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Somebody said Illmatic is an EP.
They're having a fun time. They're having a fun time with words. That's what people do now. But I don't agree with it, but it's people having fun with words. I would say for me, half hour is too long to be an EP, right? That is, if I'm spending a half hour somewhere, that's probably an album. So I don't know. I kind of settled on 21 minutes-ish as like,
I mean, like, yeah, you know, a lot of guys in our world, you know, these are like minute 30, 2-minute songs. And if there's like 7, 8, 9 of them, it's going to be under 20 minutes. You know, but again, as long as a complete thought was conducted, I think that deserves the album stamp.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Yeah. Thank you for both being here, for holding it down like alligator bites, you know?
Yeah. I clean them boys up, huh?
I appreciate it. I can't wait for more people. You both must have more people checking for you than ever before. It's the new fan syndrome. It's really interesting to be to be the new kid in town with the kind of honeymoon press a little bit, right? Like you probably won't get a bad review on this album from anybody.
Yeah, they'll just be wrong. Like it's fine. They're just wrong.
They'll just say like the people who don't know that aren't repping this album don't know it exists, but people that hear it will probably start repping it. That's just how it is for a while until you reach Armand Hammer level, and then people are like, is this even rapping? It's great. You can't beat it. But thank you both for coming by. This has been awesome.
Yes, sir,
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
For being completely real about it, how this came together, and you totally messing up my album of the year Google Doc.
I love hearing that.
I'm just like, fuck, I'm back at square one. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Like and subscribe, follow the whole deal. GrimeyNobody.com. The merch is elaborate. It's beautiful. My son is going to take the sticker, the Mighty Healthy logo sticker. I don't know what he's
The little duns.
I showed him the sticker packet. I'm like, you can have one of the sticker packet. He's like, the logo. I'm like,
my kid got the sticker packet on his wall. He put it on his wall. The little duns, man.
Yeah, the little duns.
Yeah,
the little duns, man.
Kids will tell you what's cool and what's not cool too. So
yeah, no, they'll know. Like I told you, Mighty, that I put this album on and the cats ran away. Right? That I was.
Oh yeah, that's you. That was you. And I said, we love cats. That's funny.
What? Get on it. Something's going on.
Right.
So appreciate you. Everybody cop up. Stay grimy.